Greetings, YouTube. On Monday, June 27th, the Supreme Court strikes down Texas abortion restriction. In a 5-3 decision, the Supreme Court has held that the two restrictions placed on abortion clinics, namely the requirement that all clinics in the state meet the standards for ambulatory surgical centers, including regulations concerning buildings, equipment, and staffing, and also requiring doctors performing abortions to have admitting privileges at a nearby hospital, places a substantial obstacle in the path of women seeking a probability abortion. Each constitutes an undue burden on abortion access, and each violates the federal constitution. The decision was authored by Breyer and was joined by Kennedy, Ginsburg, Sotomayor, Ellen, and Kagan. Roberts, Thomas, and Alito dissented. What a shock on that one. So in essence, HB2 be done. Now, what this essentially said was that under the guise of women's health, that these regulations were being put in place strictly to make sure that women were being kept safe, all the while restricting women's access to abortions in Texas. On the internet, we call that concern trolling, and that's what the state of Texas did. I was disgusted with the coverage of this topic this morning on NPR, because essentially the only person they spoke to was an anti-choice propagandist who lied and lied and lied and lied and lied and lied, and the interviewer just softballed the entire process. It was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting. I don't know who out there thinks that NPR is liberal based, but it isn't. They walk that middle line all the time and give nut jobs the right to speak their mind while not speaking the truth. I'm going to give you an example. One clinic in Texas, over the course of a span of time, did 17,000 abortions. And of those 17,000 abortions, there were no admissions required. None of the women were admitted to the hospital following the abortion. When they actually got around to asking specific questions about this topic to the lawyers, he says, we add that when directly asked at oral argument whether Texas knew of a single instance in which the new requirement would have helped even one woman obtain better treatment, Texas admitted that there was no evidence in the record of such case. So the Supreme Court finally got them to be blatantly obvious about the fact that this had nothing to do with women's health care and everything to do with restricting access to abortions. What's even more depressing is at the moment in Texas, there are 28 doctors left doing abortions, and some of them are getting to retirement age. And there's no one stepping in to say to take their place, partly because medical schools don't even want to publicly admit that they teach how to do abortions. And some doctors are fearing that this is driving women across the border into Mexico to buy abortion drugs and to do their own oral abortions. But because they're doing this without the supervision of a doctor, they're taking dosage which could be dangerous to them. And another blow to the whole idea that this is about women's safety, that these standards for abortions are higher than the standards for women having children outside of hospitals. So some women want to have children at home. That's fine. They bring a midwife in, they have the child. But the bar for those births is lower than the bars set by this law for abortions in Texas. And you are 14 times more likely to die from giving birth than having an abortion. Heck, you are 10 times more likely to die from a colonoscopy, a procedure I've had, than to die from an abortion. Abortions in America are safe. If someone tells you otherwise, they are pushing an anti-choice agenda, and call them on their bullshit. Stop trying to take away a woman's control of her own body. And for all you out there who are thinking, well, what about the fetus? The only uterus you get to control is yours. You don't have a uterus, you don't get to control any uterus. That's just biology. If you don't like that arrangement, go talk to Mother Nature. Go whine to Darwin if you'd like. But it's got nothing to do with us humans here right now. It's not your uterus. You're not involved in anything in a decision concerning it. Oh, and another thing about that stupid offensive report on NPR this morning, at the end she used one of my favorite loaded pieces of language when it comes to the abortion debate. Unborn children. There is no such thing as an unborn child. There's a fetus. When it's born, there's a child. Boom. They're separate. And a fetus is an extension of a woman's body. And up to the date that we have decided legally, not biologically, but legally, decided that this is where a woman has complete control of that decision, up to that point, she can do anything she darn well pleases. And after that point, abortions can still be illegal if you have two doctors involved and you can find someone that will do a late-term abortion, which I think there's only like 2 or 3 providers in the entire country left. And no one is having late-term abortions on a whim. Nobody wants them. You're having them to save the life of the mother. So this is a really good decision. And apparently Wisconsin on Tuesday got knocked down by the Supreme Court because they won't hear the case. So the lower standing decisions is all set, which means that some of their restrictions are being knocked off the books. So it's a good 2 days in America for access to reproductive rights. This is about autonomy. This is about agency. This is about not telling women what to do with their own bodies. Again, it's not your uterus. It's not your choice. And I know that the Republicans are all about small government, but that does not mean government small enough to fit inside someone's uterus. So stay away from women. Stay away from their bodies. Stay away from their choices. Just stop trying to control things that aren't your business.